Now, listen.
We're to help the little hurt one.
20 phenomenons to prove that aliens exist. Life on Venus. Most recently, scientists announced that they discovered possible life on Venus, Earth's closest neighbor in the solar system. In the clouds above the planet, a group of astronomers from all over the world found traces of a chemical only created by living beings. According to the Washington Post, the chemical is called phosphine. Traces of phosphine that appear in Earth's skies are directly linked to human activity. However, that's not a guarantee there's aliens living in the clouds above Venus. To be sure, NASA and other scientists that study space will have to send a spacecraft to explore the planet's atmosphere. And if there's signs of life on Venus, then news about UFO sightings make things a lot more interesting. UFOs, or unidentified flying objects, are an unknown object in the sky. When people talk about UFOs, they're mostly talking about flying saucers that people believe come from other planets. Back in May 2020, the New York Times reported that Navy fighter pilots had strange encounters with mysterious flying objects 8 times between 2013 and 2019. According to the reports, the fighter pilots and other military officials couldn't explain where the flying objects had come from. The US Pentagon has a program to investigate these UFOs called the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. Some think these UFOs might not actually be little green men from outer space, but the program's findings are still a bit of a mystery to reporters and others in the public. The Chicago O'Hare International Airport phenomenon. On November 7, 2006, a metallic saucer-shaped craft was seen hovering over the O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. John Hilkovich from the Chicago Tribune reportedly said the disc was visible for approximately 2 minutes and was seen by close to a dozen United Airlines employees, ranging from pilots to supervisors. The object apparently shot straight up and carved a visible circular hole through the clouds. The Federal Aviation Administration initially claimed that they didn't have any information about the sighting. The Chicago Tribune then filed a Freedom of Information Act request, which uncovered recorded conversations concerning the UFO. The FAA suggested that the sighting was the result of a weather phenomenon called a hole punch cloud, but the temperatures that day make this explanation impossible. Then the FAA said that airport lights were responsible for the sighting, but the lights hadn't been turned on yet. A proper investigation was never conducted. 2004, a mysterious radio signal is received by the CD Project on 3 occasions from the same region of space. In February 2003, astronomers with the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence project used a massive telescope in Puerto Rico to re-examine 200 sections of the sky which had all previously yielded unexplained radio signals. These signals had all disappeared, except for one which had become stronger. The signal, widely thought to be the best candidate yet for an alien contact, comes from a spot between the constellations Pisces and Aries, where there are no obvious stars or planets. Curiously, the signal is at one of the frequencies that hydrogen, the most common element, absorbs and emits energy. Some astronomers believe that this is a very likely frequency at which aliens wishing to be noticed would transmit. Nevertheless, there is also a good chance the signal is from a never-seen-before natural phenomenon. For example, an unexplained pulsed radio signal, thought to be artificial in 1967, turned out to be the first ever sighting of a pulsar. Methane in the Mars atmosphere. In 2004, 3 groups using telescopes on Earth and the European Space Agency's Mars Express orbiting space probe independently turned up evidence of methane in the atmosphere of Mars. Nearly all methane in our own atmosphere is produced by bacteria and other life. Methane could also be generated by volcanism, the thawing of frozen underground deposits, or delivered by comet impacts. However, the source has to be recent, as the gas is rapidly destroyed on Mars or escapes into space. In January 2005, an ESA scientist controversially announced that he had also found evidence of formaldehyde produced by the oxidation of methane. If this is proved, it will strengthen the case for microbes, as a whopping 2.5 million tons of methane per year would be required to create the quantity of formaldehyde postulated to exist. There are ways to confirm the presence of the gas, but scientists will need to get the equipment to Mars first. Sulfur traces on Jupiter's moon and Europa may be the waste products of underground bacterial colonies. In 2003, Italian scientists hypothesized that sulfur traces on Europa might be a sign of alien life. The compounds were first detected by the Galileo space probe, along with evidence for a volcanically warmed ocean beneath the moon's icy crust. The sulfur signatures look similar to the waste products of bacteria, which get locked into the surface ice of lakes in Antarctica on Earth. The bacteria survive in the water below, and similar bacteria might also thrive below Europa's surface. However, experts rejected the idea, suggesting that the sulfur somehow originates from the neighboring moon Io, where it is found in abundance. Russian scientists argue that a mysterious radiation-proof species of microbe may have evolved on Mars. In 2002, Russian astrobiologists claimed that super-hardy Deinococcus radiourans evolved on Mars. The microbe can survive several thousand times the radiation dose that would kill a human. The Russians zapped a population of the bacteria with enough radiation to kill 99.9%, allowed the survivors to repopulate before repeating the cycle. After 44 rounds, it took 50 times the original dose of radiation. They calculated that it would take many thousands of these cycles to make common microbe E. coli as resilient as Deinococcus. And on Earth it takes between 1 million and 100 million years to encounter each dose of radiation. Therefore, there just has not been enough time in life's 3.8 billion year history on Earth for such resistance to have evolved. By contrast, the surface of Mars, unprotected by a dense atmosphere, is bombarded with so much radiation that the bugs could receive the same dose in just a few 100,000 years. The researchers argue that Deinococcus's ancestors were flung off of Mars by an asteroid and fell to Earth on meteorites. However, other experts remain skeptical. The unexplained extraterrestrial signal detected by an Ohio State University radio telescope. In August 1977, an Ohio State University radio telescope detected an unusual pulse of radiation from somewhere near the constellation Sagittarius. The 37-second-long signal was so startling that an astronomer monitoring the data scrawled "Wow" on the telescope's printout. The signal was within the band of radio frequencies, where transmissions are internationally banned on Earth. Furthermore, natural sources of radiation from space usually cover a wider range of frequencies. As the nearest star in that direction is 220 million light-years away, either a massive astronomical event or intelligent aliens with a very powerful transmitter would have had to have created it. The signal remains unexplained. The Phoenix Lights. A huge V-shaped UFO reportedly passed over Phoenix around 8:15 p.m. on the evening of March 13, 1997. The object was described as having 5 spherical lights and was large enough to block out the stars as it flew overhead. People from various locations across Arizona, including Phoenix, reported seeing the V-shaped UFO moving silently across the sky. Around 10 p.m. that evening, the U.S. Air Force dropped slow-falling military-grade flares into the sky. The media captured video of the military exercise, believing that it was connected to the UFO sightings. Some people think that the military deliberately filled the sky with lights to discredit the UFO sightings made earlier in the evening. Former Arizona Governor Fife Symington III later said, "I can definitively say that this craft did not resemble any man-made object I'd ever seen. And it was certainly not high-altitude flares, because flares don't fly in formation." The red tinge of Jupiter's moon Europa proposed to be due to frozen bits of bacteria, which also helps explain the mysterious infrared signal it gives off. Alien microbes might be behind Europa's red tinge, suggested NASA researchers in 2001. Though the surface is mostly ice, data shows it reflects infrared radiation in an odd manner. That suggests that something, magnesium salts perhaps, are binding it together. But no one has been able to come up with the right combination of compounds to make sense of the data. Intriguingly, the infrared spectra of some earthly bacteria, those that thrive in extreme conditions, fits the data at least as well as magnesium salts. Plus, some are red and brown in color, perhaps explaining the moon's ruddy complexion. Though bacteria might find it difficult to survive in the scant atmosphere and -170 degrees centigrade surface temperature of Europa, they might survive in the warmer liquid interior. Geological activity could then spew them out periodically to be flash frozen on the surface.